Hello, my name is Gillen Wood, and my new book is Tambora, the eruption that changed the world. Tambora is the name of a mountain in Indonesia that exploded with massive force in April 1815. So the 200-year anniversary of this eruption is upon us in 2015. And to mark that anniversary, my book is the most comprehensive study yet of the eruption and its global impacts on climate and human societies. On one level, the book is the story of the largest volcanic eruption on Earth in the last 1,000 years. On another level, it's a story about the victims of climate change in the 19th century, millions of them worldwide. Now, because volcanic eruptions produce extreme weather, Tambora is the most recent, most vivid case study we have for the impacts of drastic climate change on the global human community. Tambora's story, thus, is very relevant to us today. Now, Tambora's eruption has been associated with the famous Year Without a Summer of 1816, the summer that Mary Shelley, inspired by the dramatic storms in the aftermath of Tambora, wrote the novel Frankenstein. Now, my book revisions this history of Tambora's aftermath not as the single event of a summer, but as a 3-year global climate emergency. Now, here are some of the scenes and characters that you'll meet when you read the book. In China, in Yunnan, a poet named Li Yuyang sits up at midnight watching his family starve, his hair turning white. Over in upstate New York, school children are caught in a summer snowstorm with no shoes and almost die from the cold. In tropical Bali, bodies of children line the beaches, killed by their parents out of mercy. In Ireland, thousands of peasants take to the roads to beg for food, or huddle together in their huts, dying of famine-friendly typhus. In the Swiss Alps, a huge glacier dam bursts, creating an ice tsunami that destroys an entire valley. In frontier Kentucky, so many settlers are bankrupt, the jail cells overflow until entire town squares are made over as prisons. In India, perhaps the greatest disaster of the many that unfolded in the wake of Tambora, a disastrous cholera epidemic ravages the population. Families bring their dead to the stone steps by the river Ganges. The funeral pyres burn night after night, day after day. Now, how are these stories connected? Because our global climate system is interconnected and has no respect for nation states or human borders, a major climate change event like that triggered by Tambora connects people across continents and hemispheres. People of all races, classes and nationalities are affected and become part of one global story. So you might be asking, given that this is such a big story, why haven't I heard of it? Why hasn't this book been written before? I'll give you just 2 reasons. Firstly, the eruption itself in April 1815 was overshadowed, at least in the European and North American mind, by the Battle of Waterloo, which occurred 6 weeks later, and the end of the Napoleonic Wars. More importantly, historians and we ourselves have been mostly blind to how environmental events and conditions affect our lives. We're social beings, we put ourselves at the center of things, we're anthrocentric. My book Tambora tells history differently. Nature and the natural world is not a backdrop to the human story, but rather at the center of things. And my book tells the story of our deep dependence on a stable climate and the disasters that unfold when the climate deteriorates. In this way, Tambora is both a history of a major 19th century natural disaster whose global story has never been told, but also implicitly a cautionary tale about the perils of climate change that we face now in the 21st century.